Hello, so in this video today I'm going to be talking about a decision that I made in my current placement and the reasoning behind it. So the decision I'm going to be talking about is my reasoning as to why I did ADL retraining as a main intervention for one of my clients called Clara. Clara had a right MCA infarct, and this resulted in her having expressive and receptive aphasia, dyspraxia, mostly ideational. However, she did have initially some ideational dyspraxia as well, and also a decrease in mobility. So I'm going to be talking about my reasoning behind doing ADL retraining, firstly using the PEOP. So within the components of the PEOP with occupation and performance, I'm going to be talking about the occupation of self-care. And Clara's performance within this occupation has decreased significantly since she has had her stroke. She is now, prior to having a stroke, she was completely independent within self-care. However, now she is very, very dependent and requires a lot of assistance within all aspects of self-care, including showering, dressing, grooming, and toileting. Due to this, I used my narrative reasoning here and stated that this was something that she was performing independently in before. However, now she requires a lot of dependence. Therefore, I think it would be very important to her. However, due to her expressive and receptive aphasia, I was unable to set this goal with her. However, I based my narrative reasoning that she would find it a very important goal. I also had ethical reasoning here and said that I've set this goal myself, so therefore, if she doesn't want to do it with me, I have to respect that. However, every time I went in to Clara's room, she was very welcome to me, and every time I asked for shower, she would want to. So my clinical reasoning behind that was quite fine. Environmentally, there's scientific reasoning within the environment, because therapy for a dyspraxic person is doing the same thing over and over again, and that includes being in the same environment. And I was quite fortunate with Clara because she was in her own room and it had her own shower within there. So we would be within the same environment every single treatment session, so every morning, and she became familiar with where everything was, the equipment we were using, and benefited our therapy there quite a lot. Person-wise, so as I said, aspect of the PEOP, as I said before, she was independent within self-care. However, more spiritually, she's a very proud and independent woman, and she values her independence a lot. Therefore, again, my narrative reasoning behind this was that she would find it very, very important to her to gain this independence back. And over time, once she became more expressive, she stated that this is a goal that is very valuable. This is a goal that is very important to her that she achieves. So that's my reasoning there behind selecting ADL retraining as my main intervention using the PEOP. However, I have further reasoning as to behind this is with a dyspraxic person, there is evidence that states that the best therapy is to do the same thing over and over again to fire those neurons within the brain to become an automatic movement instead of a conscious movement, and more automatic patterns. So I had to be very careful with this within the shower. I had to make sure that it was a very structured routine every single day, and it was the same every single time, as well as my commands. So, for example, every time we would go into the shower, she would sit down, get undressed, she would then wet herself, wash herself, dry herself, and then get dressed. And even dressing was very structured. Every morning she had to put her underwear on, her pants on, and then her t-shirt on. And it had to be that way every single time. And over time, she began to, some of those became automatic movements, and I would pull back my therapy, and then instead of doing hand over hand, for example, I would just do a verbal prompt instead. And over time that improved. She is now actually independent with her self-care. She just requires supervision due to her mobility issues still at the moment. That's really all my reasoning there behind why I did ADL retraining with Clara. as my main intervention. So thank you very much.